How to download and install TrueCrypt. We start off by typing TrueCrypt into the Google search bar. Please click on the link that says TrueCrypt Free Open Source. This will bring you to their homepage. On the top of the page, there's a menu bar, and we'll be clicking on the download button. This will bring you to their download page, and since I am running Windows 7, I'll be downloading their Windows 7 version of their software. It is a pretty small download, so it shouldn't take too much time. Once it's finished downloading, I want to browse to the folder where the install files are kept. Right-click on the install file and either open it or run as an admin. Agree to their term of service and click on Next. I want to install it, then click on Next. And for me, the default settings are perfectly fine, so then I'm going to click on Install. And right now it's just a waiting game. It has finished installing. Please consider making a donation. I already donated a few years back, so I'm going to click on Finish. And I'm not going to want to read the tutorial. At this time, it should be installed, so I'm going to minimize to the desktop, and then I'm going to drag their new icon to a more suitable location. How to use TrueCrypt software. So I'm going to be walking you through how to create a TrueCrypt volume, mount it, and then store files onto that drive. You can open up TrueCrypt by double-clicking on the icon. The first step is to create the volume because we have nothing to mount. Click on Volumes, and then select Create New Volume. And then we have some fancy options, but we're just going to create an encrypted file container. I'm going to pick a standard TrueCrypt volume type. This is where we select the location of the file that will contain our volume. I'm just going to store it in my document folder, and I'm going to name it 2012 TC. Click on Save. I'm perfectly fine with the default encryption algorithm. So click on Next. This is where we input the size of the volume that we want. If you are storing a lot of files, you want to make it pretty big. For my case, I find 100 megs suitable for what I'm doing. So I'll type in 100 and click on Next. And it's very important that you pause the video right now and read about their password strength. For this video, I'm going to use a password that is pretty easy to remember, but you want to use a very long password with a bunch of characters and whatnot. My password is going to be JP Morgan Chase 2013 exclamation point, capitalized JPM, which is the stock ticker symbol. And I'm going to have to type it again in the confirm box. And then I'm going to click on next. It gave me a warning about my password, but for this tutorial, I'm just going to use it anyway. And this is where the fun part is generating a random hash, and it wants you to move your mouse as randomly as possible. So I'm going pretty crazy here, but eventually I'm going to get tired and click on format. It will format the volume just like it will format a regular hard drive. Now the TrueCrypt volume has been successfully created. Our next step is to actually mount the volume onto a drive letter. So we want to click on exit because we might want to make another volume. You can mount a volume to any unused drive letter. As you can see, I have a lot of unused ones, and I like to use Z as my TrueCrypt drive. So I'm going to select Z. I'm going to select the volume that we just made a few minutes back. I'm going to select 2012 TC. And then I'm going to confirm everything, and I'm going to click on mount. Now it will bring up your password dialog, and I'm going to type in my password again, which is JP Morgan Chase 2013 exclamation point JPM. I'm going to click on OK. At this time, the volume is our Z drive now, and what you'll see is when I bring up my computer that the Z drive will show up. And there it is. The Z drive has 100 megs and it's completely empty. And this acts like any drive that you just installed. So I can create a new folder if I wanted to. And I'm going to name it my new folder example. But what you really want is install files onto your encrypted drive. So I'm going to browse to my document folder and take my 2012 tax return folder, and I'm going to cut it and put it over to the Z drive. At this point, any file on the Z drive is automatically encrypted. You don't have to do anything else. If it's on the Z drive, it is encrypted. And now I want to demount the Z drive so nobody can access my files. I do that by clicking on TrueCrypt. And then I'll highlight the Z drive and click on dismount. At this point, no one can access those files unless they know the password to my Z drive. As you can see, the Z drive has disappeared. What's only left is that 2012 TC file, but they can't get into it without knowing my password. So I'm going to mount the 2012 TC file again to retrieve my files. To do that, select the file and then click on mount. Then enter in your password. you'll see on the left side of the screen that the Z drive naturally appears again. You can click on the Z drive, and there are my 2 folders that I made previously. You can browse the file any way you want to, really, and you can also open files and run the files, as you can see. It acts like a normal hard drive, and it's pretty good. But once it's dismounted, nobody can access the file unless they have your password. I'm going to dismount the Z drive, and there we go, nobody has access to the files. Now, regularly you want to make the TrueCrypt encryption file on a USB thumbstick, or in this case my SD card. I'm going to grab the 2000 TC file, and then I'm going to put it on my SD card so I can carry it to work or another place where people gather. So I want to cut my 2000 TC file over to my SD card. Now remember that you need TrueCrypt encryption software to actually open it. So after it's done moving the file over to my SD card, I'm going to copy the install file for TrueCrypt onto the SD card as well. Just in case I'm on a computer that doesn't have TrueCrypt installed, I can install it and access my encryption. And to prove that it works on the SD card, I'm going to mount the TC file again, but this time I'm going to mount it on the location of the SD card. So I'm going to browse to my SD card, select the TC file, and I'm going to mount to the Z drive by clicking the mount button. Entering my password again, JP Morgan Chase 2013 exclamation point JPM, I think. Now at this time on the left side of the screen, the Z drive will appear again. There it is. And then click on Z drive, and there are my 2 familiar folders. And I can open it just as well as I did last time. And when I'm done using it, I want to dismount the drive so nobody can access it. I'm clicking dismount. Wrapping up, I hope you enjoy my tutorial on how to use TrueCrypt, and I hope you will use TrueCrypt to secure your files in the future.